sports podcast with the youngest, most daring, intrepid, gutsy, fearless host on the planet. Get ready for Jake's Takes. Here's Jake.
Welcome back. I am Jake, and this is Jake's Takes, where I get your favorite athletes and stars to open up and speak what's really on their minds. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you won't believe the guests I have lined up. Get ready, sports fans, because Jake's Takes is the show you've been waiting for. Today's guest has been coaching hockey for over 40 years. Several of his players have gone on to become stars in the NHL. In 2017, our guest received the Cooper Award in recognition of lengthy and dedicated service to minor hockey. He is also one of the original graduates of the Hockey Canada Coach Mentorship Program. He is currently a Series Chair for the GTHL, the largest hockey organization in the entire world. It is my pleasure to welcome to Jake's Takes my buddy and partner in crime, Mr. Rick Crumpton! Welcome, Rick. How you doing?
Hey, Jake. I'm awesome, bud. First of all, it's a pleasure to be a guest on your show. I know you've had some pretty high hitters on lately, but how are you doing?
The pleasure is all mine. You don't even know how much this means to me that you're joining my show. It's like
that means a lot to me.
Do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah, that was. You know what? My memory's going a bit because of this COVID thing, and the seasons are all blending into me. But I know it was the 2019-2020 season. I met you and your dad at Scarborough Arena Gardens on a Saturday morning. I believe you were playing for Forest Hill. We met before the game. I'd been talking to your dad, and I'm not sure how that conversation got started. But then I watched you play, and it really blew me away how much you played like number 16 on the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I noticed you were wearing that number.
Yeah, I wear it because of Mitch.
Well, yeah, but just for fun, after the game, the first thing I said to you was, so who's your favorite NHL player? And you sort of gave me this funny look, and you went, duh, Mr. Barner. I said, yeah, I'm just kidding, because you play like him. You every time you entered the zone, you had your head up, and like him, you were always seemed to look like to be making the pass. So you looked like I would have given you a nickname like Mini Mitch.
That's exactly what I go for. Thanks, Rick.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's very obvious.
I also got to share with our listeners how awesome you have been in introducing me to some of the great guests I have had on Jake's Takes. What a guy you are, Rick. It's truly appreciated.
Well, you know what? You're an awesome kid, an awesome family. I mean, I don't know your whole family, I know your dad, but I'm sure your family's awesome. And, when you've been in hockey for a long time and you have an opportunity to help somebody, it doesn't even have to be at the rink or on the ice or during a game. It could be something like this project you undertook, and I was beyond happy. And I was honored that you asked me for some help. So I'm glad it's going good for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so Rick, let's start by discussing the deep roots you have with the game of hockey. Sound good?
Yeah, bring it on, buddy.
Okay, here we go. You've been coaching hockey for over 40 years, and I think your dad was a coach too. You've been around this game for a long time and have impacted so many players. Tell me how coaching has changed since you started in 1973 to coaching today.
It's gotten a lot more technical. First of all, it's a lot more expensive for the parents today. I feel bad for them. The game has changed so much. It's faster. It's a lot more technical now. I mean, back in 1973 when I started, I think our most technical drill was the horseshoe drill, which I don't know if they do that anymore. You did 3-on-2s. I think we might have done breakouts. So it's a lot more advanced now, and there was nothing like a coaching clinic back then. I learned coaching from my dad and the other great people, volunteers that I got to play hockey for. about the time I started coaching, I started playing hockey at Harvard College, where I had a great hockey coach. So I think the biggest change is the education of coaches today and the information available. Like the last few years I coach, I could just go to YouTube and find a million different drills I could run at that practice. I had a parent videoing the game, so I could come home and sit at my computer and become a better coach by watching how the kids played and how I could help them. So I think that's the biggest change is the education of coaches and, of course, the cost.
Yeah, so now it's like all about like skill and speed and all that kind of stuff. Back then it used to be like you drop your gloves and hope for the best.
Whoa. I'm not going to say that I ever did that.
You didn't?
You know what? It might have been wet. My hands might have been sweaty and they fell off a few times, but I would pick them up after a couple of minutes.
Thought so. Rick, I hear you were the first Canadian hockey player to do something in a game against Switzerland, or any professional team, actually. Can you tell me and the listeners the details to this very cool story?
Well, you've done your homework. Were you over in Switzerland checking this out? Geez, that's impressive. Well, I was very fortunate in 1974-75 season, my second year at Humber. We went to Switzerland to play against the pros, and back then, that was very rare. Like GTHL teams now go to Europe all the time. But that was very rare back then. And it was just a couple of years after the famous Canada-Russia series in 72, the Paul Henderson one. And actually the jackets we wore were pretty cool. They were kind of like Team Canada's. Anyway, we played in this town called Lausanne. They still have a hockey team. They play in the Swiss National A Division now. So I was very fortunate in the first bit of the first game to score a goal. So I kind of became the first college, university or college kid to score a goal from Canada. But you know what really bugs me about that, Jake?
What? What bugs you?
The ref wouldn't give me the puck.
Really? Why not?
Yeah. A friggin' 15-cent puck that they must have cost back then. Sorry, 1 Swiss franc. And I scored the goal, and I thought, one day, maybe I'll have kids, which I turned out to. Got grandkids now. I want to show them that puck. So I went up and asked him for it. He went, no. And Lausanne is a French city in Switzerland. No. I go, please, merci. I threw all the French words I remember from high school. Regardez and bibliothèque. And no. So I never did get the puck.
So when I scored 6 goals, they gave me the puck after the game.
Okay, first of all, are you bragging now?
Maybe.
6 goals in a game.
Yep.
Wow. Well, yeah, sorry, my story's not that good. I only got the first goal by a college kid of a country of 30 million people. So your 6 goals is way better than my 1 for sure. Man,
you should have got that puck. I can't believe it.
Well, if I ever go to Switzerland again, I'll go looking around Lausanne for it. But I don't think it's I think the referee took it because he knew it was going to be in the Hall of Fame in Switzerland one day.
So you coach players that are currently stars in the NHL. One of the players you coached and became close with is an NHL star I have spoken about I think several times on my show. Big Alex Pietrangelo. You also coached against Steven Stamkos. How obvious was it back then? Did you know that they were going to become stars? Like, was it that obvious?
No, it wasn't. But what you saw was the work ethic and the dedication. When I coached Alex, I was very fortunate to be the assistant coach of the Toronto Junior Canadiens. Tyler Craig was the head coach, a very brilliant man. And he gave me the responsibility of looking after the D. And, you could just see Alex first on the ice at practice. First guy after practice picking the pucks up. First guy ready in the dressing room. You never walked in the room. We used to go in the room to start the pregame when the Zamboni went on. He was never still getting dressed. In fact, he was the guy going out and looking and going back and going, okay, boys, flood's on. So he showed a lot of leadership. And now, his first year we had him, he was minor bantam. By bantam, you started to see it. And my contribution to his hockey career was get back out on the ice. That's all he ever taught. Stay out there. In bantam, we played against Steven Stamkos' team up in Thunder Bay in the Ontario Provincial Championships, and we all knew that entire year that we would face them in the gold medal game, and we did. And they also, besides Steven, they had some future NHL draft picks, Cameron Gauntz, Michael Del Zotto, and Cody Hodgson. So you can picture their power play. Their power play had 4 future NHL stars, including 2 who in 2008 went in the first round. Steven Stamkos, number 1 overall, and Michael Del Zotto went 20th. Oh, sorry, I forgot Cody Hodgson, who went 10th. So they had 3 future first rounders. We had Alex. So how much ice time? Because we started the third period up 3-2. How much time do you think I gave Alex that game in the third period? How much do you think he was on the ice?
Third period? How about 20 minutes?
Well, no, the 50-minute periods. I think he came off once, and Tyler told me get him back out there. So, but that's about when you started. And then by minor midget, when the scouts come out, there was a lot of talk about him. He's exactly the same today as he was back then. Played calm, made the great first pass, never panicked. Oh, I forgot something. Do you know who scored the winning goal in 19, St. Louis and St. Louis at Boston? Do you know who scored the winning goal in that game? Game 7?
Was it Petro?
Yeah. And guess who scored the winning goal up in Thunder Bay against Stamkos?
Petro.
Yeah. So, you know what? He had that ability to score the big one back then, and he still has it.
Wow.
And you know what? And Steven Stamkos, super hockey player. You could tell. You know, but you can't tell, Jake, because all of a sudden they turn 16 or 17, and you know, their girlfriend comes along, or they want to get a part-time job because they want to buy a car, and they start missing practices. So you can never ever come out and say that kid's going to the NHL, because then there's also the late bloomers, and all of a sudden a minor midget, you go, where did this guy come from? So you can't tell, but you can. The first thing I always measured with was their work ethic. And the guys that we coached that went highest in the OHL draft and to the NHL, the common denominator was they were the hardest working guys. They didn't only work hard when they thought you were watching them.
Yeah, it's all about hard work. Okay, Rick.
By the way, hey, Jake, you know the thing about hard work?
What's the thing?
It's hard.
Okay, Rick. You know what time it is on Jake's Takes? It's time for some rapid fire. I'll ask you a bunch of short, tough questions. Can you answer them very quick?
Hey, love the pressure. Bring it on.
Let's go. Mike Babcock or John Tortorella?
Wow, Tortorella.
Best goalie in the NHL today?
The kid in Philadelphia, Carter.
Hot pretzel or nachos?
Nachos.
Who will be traded first? Pierre-Luc Dubois or Patrick Laine?
Wow, Laine.
Carnival or circus?
Circus.
Have you ever shattered your stick in practice on purpose out of frustration?
I gotta be honest here. Yeah, but they were wooden sticks back in the day. They were wood. They were easy to break.
Do you prefer liquid soap or a bar of soap?
They have liquid soap now? Yeah, bar.
Who is more important, a number 1 center or a number 1 defenseman?
Well, having coached that guy that we talked about, I'll go with defenseman.
Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts?
Tim Hortons.
Are the New York Islanders a better team with or without John Tavares?
Well, he was their captain and their leader. No, of course not. They're not a better team. Toronto Maple Leafs are a better team because of John Tavares.
Oh, baby, Rick Crumpton! You were off the charts during that rapid fire. I am super impressed with your performance. Stellar, I say. Be honest, have you done this before?
No, and now that the pressure's off, I'll start breathing again.
2 more questions, is that good?
Okay, bud. Sure.
So, Rick, in August of 1999, representatives from the NHL, the NHLPA, the CHL, and Hockey Canada gathered in Toronto for the Canadian Ice Hockey Summit. What was the trigger for this new event, and what was it all about?
Well, in '98, Canada, for the first time, or Canada, all the countries could send NHL players to play for the Team Canada Olympics. And we sent a bunch of guys over, like names like Eric Lindros and Raymond Bork and Brendan Shanahan and a guy who wore number 99. And they got to the semifinal against the Czech Republic. Of course, being that we were sending all these superstars over, we were going to not lose and bring gold home. Well, something happened on the way there, and we were played against a very future superstar Hall of Famer. Dominic Hasek was in goal for the Czech Republic. And the game was tied in the semifinal, and it went to a shootout. And 5 players shot. Now, I know it was a bit before your time, but would you have picked Wayne Gretzky to take one of the shots?
Yeah.
He did not shoot. He sat on the bench, and the camera kept showing him. So he didn't shoot, and we lost in the shootout. Canada didn't score a goal.
Why not?
So,
Why not? Why didn't he shoot? The greatest player of all time didn't shoot.
Well, you know what? Mark Crawford, who was the coach and coached several different NHL teams, he's coached a lot more NHL games than I ever had. So I don't want to second guess him. That was his decision. Anyway, all of a sudden, it was horrific. So now they go into the bronze medal game against Finland. Lost.
How?
Flew home without a medal with the NHL superstars on the airplane.
How did that happen?
Well, you know what? That's exactly what Hockey Canada asked, and they realized that in 100 years of hockey in Canada, nobody ever got the masterminds, the smart people to get together and discuss the situation. So they got together and realized that first thing they said was, we need to have these kids practicing more than playing, because you have the puck more in practice. You're on the ice for the whole hour and a half. And another recommendation was they created the National Coach Mentorship Program, which was, the idea was if a coach was struggling, or he was a new coach, or even older coach, he wanted to have somebody he could go to and go, hey, I'm having trouble with my breakout, or I've got a parent giving me a bit of a hard time. Can you give me some advice? So I was very fortunate to be in a position that I was asked to be in the very first program. So we kind of designed the program, and Ken Dryden, who was president of Toronto Maple Leafs at the time, was very involved, and a lot of very smart hockey people. So we went through, we designed a program, and we graduated, and that was the story behind the Hockey Summit and how the mentorship program got created.
In 2017, you were honored by winning the Cooper Humanitarian Award. The award is presented in recognition of lengthy and dedicated service to minor hockey. You received the award with your wife and sons in attendance. Tell me about this special experience and what it meant to you.
Well, it was very humbling, to be honest with you. I had no idea. I was coaching a team, a midget team, and one of the kids, our captain, a great leader, the kid, he asked me about November for my hockey resume, and I said, what do you need my hockey resume for? He said, Coach, trust me. I said, well, which resume? The playing one or the coaching one? I said, give me both. So I did, and completely forgot about it. The last practice of the season, like in March, he came up to me up at Vaughan Iceplex, and he said, I just want to let you know that the guys got together and we've nominated you for this award. And my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. And then, I don't know, sometime, I think in May, I got a letter saying I'd won it. And it was very humbling, because, I don't think you should get really rewarded for doing something that you love and is your passion. I mean, I learned from my dad, it's so gratifying to not only coach your own sons, but to coach other people's sons. And I was very fortunate. I mean, it's been my life, and, I love doing it. So to get an award for doing something you love was extremely humbling. But, it was nice to have my wife and kids there, and there was Tyler Craig was getting a very, very special award after me that night. So his family was there, and Cody Hodgson was there, and a bunch of the guys we had coached. So Tyler and I kind of went back to back up for the award, except Tyler unfortunately had passed away. But it was a very, very, very special night.
What a great accomplishment, and you deserve it more than anyone else.
Well, thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. But there's an awful lot of extremely wonderful people in this town of Toronto and all across around the world that have a passion for the game and want to pass it on to kids, and they just love being at the rink, which, as you know, I'm a series chair. I still get to do it. I miss being on the ice, and I miss being on the bench, but the bottom line is I'm still going to the rinks and doing what I love doing most.
Rick, as I said at the beginning, ever since I met you, you have looked for ways to help me advance whether the goal I set out was impossible or not. It is very obvious why you are such a successful coach, and I thank you for joining me today on Jake's Takes.
Jake, it's been my pleasure and honor to be on your program. It blows me away as I turn on the radio in the morning and I hear you talking on TSN, and you're only going to go a long way. This career path that you're on right now will take you as far as you want to go.
You're the best, man. You're the best.
Okay, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Hey guys, you won't believe the guest I have next week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.